program is produced using the resources of Public Media Network in Kalamazoo, Michigan. Learn more at publicmedianet.org.
Welcome to Connecting Communities, a podcast about the environment, which is where we live, work, and play. We love to talk with people who are doing cool things to support the environment and also connect communities together, bring people together. So today, very, very environmentally adjacent. Maybe you can connect the dots for us as we go, but I am excited to talk about the connections that you're making in this episode today, Patrick. But all that to say, I'm your co-host, Dee Chauvin. We've got Joe Byers here.
Hello, welcome.
And our guest is one of our good friends and another co-host on other episodes of Connecting Communities, Patrick Hershberger.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks for being here. We are so excited to talk about your new obsession.
It is an obsession.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it new, too? How long have you been doing this?
It's almost a year old.
Okay.
Yeah.
So.
We had the election last year. I needed escapism.
Yeah.
And I found it in VHS, weirdly enough.
So how'd that start, though? You inherited some, right?
Yeah, so, well, it started, honestly, because I was following this guy, Matt McCarthy, on TikTok. He's an actor. He lives out in L.A., and he's got this place he calls the Video Garage. And he takes he gets a lot of VHS from estate sales and wherever he gets them as he travels, and kind of just watches these things that people have recorded. I received a large collection from a friend whose coworker passed away, and their estate was looking to offload all of these, VHS tapes. And I had watched just enough of Matt that I was like, I should dabble. What's 400 tapes? We can do this. So, and I had a working VCR from my partner's mom, and she has also offloaded some tapes to me as well. So I started building kind of what I call distribution copies. So like the standard, the Blockbusters or anything you'd buy from the store, but quickly fell into what people were recording on TV, the handheld camcorder footage, old commercials. All of that was really intriguing. So check this out. We didn't talk about this at all, but this is somebody's VCR testing tape, and they did this whole collage. And it's just the little testing tape that he made. I love it so much.
I do love it. Yeah.
Who cares why? It's just
basketball, swimming in the mountains.
Yeah. I think actually this is probably a testing tape where they would just see if the VCR was working. So if something got chewed up, because sometimes you get that VCR and you're like, oh, it just chewed up the tape, so you got to unscrew the top. My favorite VCR, all the screws are out in the top, because when that eats a tape, I'm going to take the top right off, and I'm going to unwind the tape and then gently move it out.
Yeah.
Because I watch a lot of tapes, so I don't want to unscrew it that much. But
right.
So he's got his testing tape, or had his testing tape. And these are a cool little byproduct. So all of these stickers that people used, I've got hundreds of these things now, and they're all from different eras, and they're just so cool.
That is cool.
I love these things to death. They're just great, and I still use them. Like if I want to write up something on a tape, I'll take one of them out, try to put it to the tape.
Yeah, because people like this person just wrote straight up with a pencil. Did not use the stickers.
And abbreviated all this stuff. I've started to figure out what the abbreviations are, but the only way you do that is by watching. I make a lot of murals, and a lot of that's public facing, and I'm really interested in people's stories that are local. And I think with VHS tapes, it's that too, because you could have 20 copies of, the last show of MASH, but you had all these local stations, all of the local commercials that were played, people that loved to cut commercials, people that didn't love to cut commercials. You could tell when they fell asleep, and just, the they stopped cutting commercials. It just kind of fell out of their hand, and hopefully the cigarette landed somewhere where it didn't burn the house down. And also I think you mentioned earlier, one of the things that really has made me kind of rethink our own consumerism is that we buy. It's just what we do, and there's all these new things, and it's all of these. And I'm wearing clothes right now. I have a phone. I mean, I'm not trying to be hypocritical in the sense that there's things that in our day and age we have to buy, but I feel really good going to an estate sale or Facebook Marketplace sale where it's somebody's mom's tapes, and $20. I'm just buying something that's already produced. Mm-hmm. It's been here for a while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is super cool. Can you even get like a new VCR anymore? Or?
You can get. So I haven't even really explored if you can get new VCRs, because every VCR I get is from an estate sale for like $20. So yeah. I think you can.
Probably pay more than $20.
You would definitely pay more than $20. But I mean, a lot of this old tech with a little bit of tweaking really holds up. Mm-hmm. Honestly, some of even the older models work better than some of the later model or the newer, closer to this era model. Stuff that you have like a DVD VHS combo. If a board goes for the DVD player, it can affect the whole thing. My partner Chad Burke has gotten into video disc, and that is, a lot of people think it's laser disc, but video disc is a stylus it plays a record, so it's a record that has video and audio on it, whereas laser discs were optical, and they only put out like 1,700 not copies, but 1,700 like releases of different things, and then they stopped because VHS and Betamax just overtook it. It couldn't compete. So there's all these niche things that we've kind of done tech-wise. VHS is one of them, a long-lasting one, I guess, if you would think along the tech stone wheel that keeps rolling, down and collects a new or makes a new creation or technology. But there is such a wide span of it. People personalized it. One of my favorite tapes I recently got, I was at the Ann Arbor District Library's Dead Media Fest, and it was the first one they ever had, and it wasn't, it was everything. It was like anything from typewriters to light bulbs, to VHS tapes, CDs, comics, vintage photography gear, and there was a few people that had VHS for sale, and they quickly found me because I was the guy with like all tape stuff, and they're like, "Oh, you want this too? $10 for this box, Fine, I will take your tennis matches from 1997. I will gladly do that."
Right.
But one of them was the Smashing Pumpkins. Turned out kind of a mixtape. Like the first hour was a concert in Miami. Corgan had like his full head of hair. It was like 1992, and bad lighting, shaky handheld photography. But they just, it was just a great show. But then after that was like all of the videos from MTV, and so they were his favorite videos, SNL appearances, and so it was this whole tape that somebody held on and personalized over the years.
Yeah.
And that's what I feel like you kind of get to see somebody a little bit. It's not their whole selves, but it's enough of themselves that when you see a few tapes or even more than a few tapes of what they've done over their lifetime of recording, you kind of get a vibe check of what this person, how they reacted to their media environment and just their environment in general.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is super cool. What about, so you get to know these people based on the, collection that they've curated onto a tape and, what they decided to like create. But you also have been digging into people's backgrounds to say like, oh, this person whose collection I got, they are from Kalamazoo and they did this for a living and Like,
Oh yeah, it's
are
very
there
so.
stories?
So one of the collections, and let me pull up my notes because got to look at the notes. There's a collection I recently got from, and actually, if we look at, it's this tape right here. So it's this Scotch High Standard T120. The envelope that's just ripped in half. Has their address. Some of the stuff had like Bible verses on it. Grocery lists from Meijer that were just quickly like taped onto the tape. And they just taped everything. I mean, they love Ghost Hunters. Huge fans of Ghost Hunters and the subsequent series from that. But they packed these tapes in, and there was close to almost 400 of them sitting in a storage container that this guy that flips storage containers or storage units got. He got, and I found him on Facebook Marketplace, and I went there for 2 boxes and a crate. And I went up, he's like, well, I actually found 3 more boxes. You can just have it. Because, I saw your page, and it looks cool. It looks like you're doing something with them. So here. 400 tapes later. I don't know why 300 and 400 seems to be, like, the magic number of people for their collection. Is this, like, 15 or 20? Or, like, 300 or 400?
Right.
But, it's some people have little to no web presence. And, I mean, given the majority of these tapes are from the mid 80s, most of them a lot of 90s, some into the 2000s. Even I just watched a tape that was from like 2014, which seems like yesterday, in VHS land.
Wow.
But the person that a lot of the letters and receipts and stuff I found are from Gabier under Andrea. But then if you look online, because I do a lot of searching with like municipal databases, or just things that you can find on Google or random searches. But I couldn't find really anything about Andrea, but I found a lot about her father, Russell Gabier, he did a lot of work with Western for a long time. He was the first executive director of the Irving S. Gilmore Foundation. So he takes you down weird rabbit holes. You're like, are these his tapes or are these her tapes? Because I don't think he had the time to tape.
Right.
I don't think, but maybe he did too. Maybe it's part of his collection. Maybe it's part of her collection. Is she still alive? I think so. He's not. So I think to some people it might seem a little morbid because you're constantly, you're looking at like, can I find this person's death record or, when they came about. But I mean, I think that's the cool thing about history is that, we are these short existences anyways. And so it's interesting to see what people did in a really weird part of their lives, but because this type of media for a lot of people only came around in their later ages or when they were kids, like some of the tapes, there's the tapes I got in Angola and Indiana where it was a solid collection of sci-fi, Mystery Science Theater, a bunch of like cartoons and just, cool old sci-fi channel in the 90s, which was a good time. But it was husband and wife, and we were in a parking lot of like just some random grocery store chain, and they were like, "Well, why do you want these tapes? Like, are you gonna tape over them?" And I was like, "No, absolutely not. Like this is fun for me. It's discovery." And they're like, "Oh, that's so." You could see the relief. Like, "Oh my gosh! Like I'm giving you something." And they told me it was their kid and his friends, and they just taped whatever they wanted, and it was their taped collection of their teen years.
Yeah, it's almost like a creation, like something they created. Like if somebody, all these podcasts that we make are in a digital format, you know what I mean? But like if I could take and put them into a physical tape, and someone actually wanted that one day, I would be like so thrilled and like honored because it was something that I took the time to put together. So
one of my good friends, Bernie Proschel, he was in kind of the rock scene back in the 70s and 80s, and they made mixtapes for everything. He still has hundreds of mixtapes. I remember as a kid. I grew up in an environment where I could only access religious music. So I would sneak listening to the radio on like RKR or 103 or whatever. and I would have my little Walkman, and I'd throw my tape in it, and I'd tape, when they had like special events or concerts on it, so I could get the whole album, but I wasn't alone. People were doing this all the time, or people made them for their friends. And I feel like people that were really into media did the same thing. They made collections of things. Some people were more haphazard than others. Some people very organized. So you see those personality traits come through. Other people, chaos. Like this 400 set is pure chaos, and I love it. I'm a huge fan of the chaos. Other people, so I don't know who remembers the Goo Goo Dolls.
Oh,
yeah. This person, Michelle from Florida, has over 300 tapes that she was part of a group of people that sent tapes to each other, and they were a Goo Goo Dolls fan club. And so people that went to concerts and people that recorded off of MTV and early shows, they would swap tapes, record. They would make these immaculate lists, some handwritten, some literal spreadsheets. And they would do down to like the lines of what part in the tape will these different things happen on, and so I've got like so many AOL addresses and early Etsy accounts, and like it's like, hey, this is Michelle. Paula, if you could just send me the tape that we talked about in our letter last time of these 2 shows in Europe, I'll include in this tape the whole edition of, so there was like some of the MTV stuff was fantastic. There's some Real World on these tapes. Buffy, I love. She has an affection for Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So I've had the pleasure of recording some of that. But you really, on a level, again, it comes back to you get to know these people. You don't know these people at all, but you know a little bit, which is a fun deep dive. I grew up in an environment where I didn't have access to secular culture, as we referred to it as, and so much of that is missed. And part of this is getting to live something I'd never I was only on the periphery of. I love Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, loved it, and I drew them all the time in church. But I barely was able to watch them. Now I'm finding people's like tapes where they've got like 5 episodes of TMNT from 1994.
Are you like, Friday night? That's my plans. I'm like watching these.
I don't watch Netflix anymore. Like we have to have special events to watch things. I don't need to. I have like thousands of VHS tapes that I'm trying to work through. Yeah. We take breaks. You got to watch a season of something here and there. But
So I remember as a kid, and I'm like talking probably early 80s, my aunt and uncle had a satellite dish, but back then they were like
huge.
Yeah, they were like, the size of half of your house. But she would tape they probably had like 400 channels, which now isn't a big deal. I mean, how many channels do you have? But she taped every single movie that she could possibly tape. I wonder where all those tapes are, because I mean, she had put like 3 movies on a...
Joe, you've got my number.
Yeah. I know. I gotta call my dad and see if he's.
I think I still have, since I've lived in my house. I still have a VCR somewhere, I think.
Yeah.
And probably tapes.
You find that
too.
When you go to estate sales, if I see, there's always one VCR. Always one. Even if they don't have tape still, there's always one random VCR in the basement. Because everybody had one. And, there was some workout tapes that were in the early 80s that really kind of promoted, because they came out on VHS only. People just bought them in droves. And then it just became such a staple. And it's such a malleable format. Like you could tape and retape and retape. Mm-hmm. Speaking of satellite and early cable, some of these tapes you could tell people would be browsing through basically like their what was on next, or they'd be rolling through all the channels and the movie's playing in the background, but you're seeing them 30 years ago flipping through the channels, so to speak. And you feel like you're there. I know this is probably weird, but I do talk to the TV. I talk like that person is in the room sometimes. And some of this is just my dad. Like he was very much a TV yeller. He would scream at the TV. So I'm finding a personal enjoyment having a little bit of, ancestral TV yelling.
Yeah.
And be like, especially when commercials get cut, like I might cuss somebody out when they start cutting off commercials. And it was a cool Transformers commercial, and now he
Right.
just stopped it, and now it goes back to our regularly scheduled programming. I mean,
Right.
murderous.
The commercials, I feel like, would be just such a time capsule to see.
So much plastic.
Oh,
So much
yeah.
plastic.
Yeah.
The 80s were great about that. Like all of the play sets. I don't know if you remember the micro machines.
Mm-hmm. They were like Hot Wheels.
Yeah, but they're tiny and the guy talks super fast.
Oh, okay. I don't remember the commercials for them. Just the actual micro machine.
I didn't even remember either until I saw a commercial on a VHS tape.
Oh, locked on memory, core memory. Oh,
It did.
I remember that. I could really see too getting to know. I mean, you've got the people's home videos. Tell us about John Homer.
John Homer. John Homer is up in the UP. I went to his granddaughter's place. It was just Middle Michigan, about an hour and a half away, near Lansing, and I got about 70 tapes. And I was like, so could you? I have to gauge when you talk to people, because some people just want to get rid of it. Like, here you go. Thanks for the money. Bye. Mm-hmm. And you're not going to be able to talk to people. But some people just want to talk. Mm-hmm. So you have that time of like, this is like the interview. It might be 5 minutes, might be 10 minutes, but you're standing on somebody's porch and you're just talking. And you're like, so where did these come from? He's like, they're my grandpa, and I've had them for years, and I just don't have the space anymore, but I can't get myself to throw these away. I just want somebody to appreciate them. And she's like, well, my grandpa loved recording like houses and bridges, and just, he just liked recording everything. And she was not wrong. John Homer loved recording everything. He loved Mackinac Bridge. He loved bridges in general. He would hang out at construction sites and just set his camera up, and they'd come up to him and be like, what are you doing here? He's like, oh, I'm just recording a bridge. I'm just recording what you're doing. Like, it's cool. They'd be like, okay. And they'd walk away, and he'd probably be unsafe recording them, walking around on an active construction site.
Right.
Or, his wife would be driving on one of their many vacations. A lot of these take place, I feel like, when they're starting to be retired. And they bought a couple of like small motels to run for, businesses, and they would go down to Florida and hang with their friends, and they'd do the whole, like, we've got our moving trailer that we go down and park, and then we're all, drinking Bud Light and hanging out smoking cigarettes, with our friends down in Florida.
Yeah, I love that.
And they always had tiny dogs. They always had I'm being introduced to different tiny dogs in this, which I love tiny dogs, and they're so adorable. Some like the cameras more than others. Dottie does not like the camera. Dottie, he'd be like, hey Dottie. And he'll just point the camera at her, and she'd look up and be like, I just want to enjoy this grass right now, and you're really, invading my personal space. But he talked. He was the narrator. In the early tapes, he wasn't the narrator. He didn't have his voice. He's a very matter-of-fact person. Oh, there's a red light. Oh, look, there's a tree that we're passing that's different. Look at those palm trees. Does that bridge go? Is that bridge going up right now? He would just talk to the camera. It didn't matter if he was the only one around. He was the narrator. Sometimes his wife was driving, he'd just be taping miles of countryside. Usually overexposed. Not the best shot, kind of shaky.
It's probably hard to look at.
Sometimes,
from the moving vehicle.
But I love sometimes what's in the shadows of these shots, because when he turns his camera, you're seeing the rearview mirror.
Yeah.
And you're getting a little flash of him or his wife, or his wife's hands when he's driving, and her how calm she is and just steady, and his reactionary person, And I mean, you are getting, again, you're coming back to, you're getting to know someone. I'll never know these people, they're dead, but we're all people, and we all have a lot of similar traits, and we do a lot of things that I think we just find comforting. And I love getting to know these people through these little bit of insights of what they're saying on camera, and they're not famous people. These are people that are, I can't even find pictures online of these people. They're pre-online.
Right.
And so I would have to, if I really wanted to dig, I would have to probably, go find birth records and find things in hometowns, maybe something at a public library or a local history section. And thankfully, because of some of the research that I've done for public art, I have that knowledge base to do those things. And it depends. Like, I think if there's something that's worth it enough, I'll do it. But I think my project is right now, I'm starting to digitize a lot of this. I've started this project called the KZoo Video Vault. I have a Google Drive where I'm just every collection has its name, has a bio, and then I'm labeling what the videos are, what their collections are from, and trying to put whole tapes, up into these. So eventually, I don't know if it'll be a subscription or I don't know if it'll just be open for here's the link, check it out. But I want it to be where people can kind of have a curated space of. I wonder what Homan's tapes are. Well, there are a lot of Bridges. He loves some Martha Stewart. This Old House. There's and you can get a kind of a feel for what people like to tape.
So you're organizing them by the person you got it from,
Yes.
basically?
Well,
Okay.
yeah, the person I think that they're
Not
from.
by like the topic of what it is.
No.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, it's all about the person. I think in the title.
Yeah. I just think that's so cool. It just makes me feel like, like you're not so small and insignificant. You know what I mean? Like you said, we're all people, and so like.
My mind goes always, not always, but a lot of the times to seeing the world from 100 miles away, and I always go to thinking we're, we are part of this universe where we're, these little specks that, we are where we are in our evolutionary state now, and 100 million years from now, or 100 million years before, they were different people as they will be different people in the future. But we're here right now, and it's so cool as just this tiny little speck of dust to be able to study other little specks of dust that, we're so full of character and so similar at the same time. And I don't know, I find a lot of comfort in that. As different as we think we like to think that we are, we're so close.
I can remember when video or camcorders became more affordable and everybody had them. So everybody was taping everything. I mean, Sunday dinner was getting taped,
Yeah,
Oh,
Christmas
kids
karaoke.
opening gifts, oh man, I would not be able to watch a video of some kids opening gifts. Maybe I could. Maybe it'd be more entertaining than.
There's you never know what you're gonna see or what somebody's gonna say, and oftentimes, people are always like, oh, did you find those kind of videos?
Oh, yeah.
Did you find some tapes? Those kind of no, I didn't find those kind of tapes because people are boring. For the majority, we're very boring people, and only celebrities are making stuff or true weirdos who are doing it. And God bless the weirdos.
Yeah.
You make those tapes, and hopefully I find them someday. I will not say yes to that. But no, I mean, for the most part, the fun tapes are finding things like people's an uncle made a tape with his 3 nieces. And it was for America's Funniest Home Videos. And it was 6 takes of this song that they put lyrics to, And they're like, okay, so here's one in the living room. Here's one by the pool. And then we've got grandma as a prop. And she has to say this thing. And she screws it up 3 times out of the 6, And it's great because it's so funny, And it's in 3 rivers. And the backside is this cornfield, with a 6-foot fence with a pool,
Oh, man. That's funny.
I find a lot of joy in that. I think it's great.
Definitely.
Did they ever send the final copy into, to the show or not? I don't know.
One of my favorite things when I was a kid would be staying at my grandparents' house on the weekend, and they would like get the slide projector out and like take the artwork down off and put a bed sheet so it would, and the little 8mm, is that what they're called, with the like projector like we used to have in school, where they'd wheel in and
You have to
have like
you
the
have
two.
to put it onto the wheel. I think
Yeah.
so. My knowledge base isn't great on that. That's
Someone else's
pre-VHS.
dead
Yeah.
media.
Yeah, for sure.
It's the precursor to phones, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, we're like now we just automatically record everything.
Yeah.
And it was so novel then, but then it started to become, I think film was that, you can think about Kodak and like the Brownie camera and then it moved to disposables and people just shot everything. Not everything. You still only had maybe 30, you only had 27 frames on a disposable camera, or you got the 36 or whatever, 36 count. And so then digital came along with film and video, and we could do a lot more. And we just became, it's just I shoot everything. But I mean, honestly, people that were doing handheld video stuff, a lot of those people shot everything too. Not maybe not everybody did. Maybe certain people were selective. Certain people were not, and they just shot live, which is great.
Yeah. Right. Without those people, we wouldn't know about John's bridges. And
Yeah,
stuff.
John's bridges.
That's the cool stuff. Yeah.
Mean little Chihuahuas. They're hanging out in a trailer with some beers and a bunch of 65-year-olds. So yeah, I think where this project is taking me is probably doing more archiving and sharing that archiving with people. I think the interesting, the highlights. If you kind of want a visual of the setup, it's a couple of screens. I've got one screen recording, screen that I'm just reviewing more footage. I've usually got my phone in hand or a computer next to me. And so it's kind of like this multimedia research station and just digitizing. I've found this digitizer which hooks up through the RCA cables right into the VCR. And then I can just record those, whole tapes and then either chop it up for TikTok or Instagram or have those, complete packs of data.
That's what I was going to ask. I know I've seen you share a couple of clips on your personal Instagram page, but, for people who want to get updates from the Kalamazoo Video Vault, are they?
Yeah, no, my
just
page is
following your
open.
personal page?
So, if you go on Instagram and just look up Patrick Hershberger, I know it's a long one, but it's, if you can always link it through to my bonus saves or Go Bonus Saves page on Instagram. There's links to it. But yeah, KZoo Video Vault is right now, I don't want to say it's conceptual. I'm building it. So I don't have really a web presence for it yet. But I'm just kind of cataloging at this point in time and building the collection, I guess, for a release down the road.
And then you're going to be participating in the Ann Arbor Dead Media Day.
There is another, so Ann Arbor Dead
was
Media
there
Day.
another thing going on?
So Ann Arbor Dead Media Day at the Ann Arbor District Library happened this in October. There was a call for entries early in the spring. And for whatever reason, the algorithm threw it at me. I mean, for whatever reason,
I'm
right?
sure you're Googling.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with it.
And I was like, what is this? What is this thing? And so I signed up first day that I saw it, and it was the second day that it was out. And I got a response. So hey, this sounds cool. Do you want one table or two? I'm like, I'll take 2 tables. And I showed up not knowing what to expect. And it was so cool. It was all this stuff typewriters to old light bulbs to vintage radios, CDs, DVDs, VHS, old camera equipment, just whatever was old media. But I was like, well, it's from 3 to 11 on a Sunday. They just had the marathon. Are we going to be that busy? Yes. Nonstop people. It's great conversations. We had both my partners, Chad Burke, who's also I'm co-opting him into the KZ Video Vault. I said we're a team. We're a team, baby. We're doing this. You've got your video discs, which are not laser discs. Video discs are they run like a record player, except it's both audio and visual. And then I have all my VHS. And we're invited back to whatever the next one is that they're planning, which is cool. They hoping to bring some cool presentations and kind of hone in on what this project really is. I think when I came into it, I had kind of an semblance of it, which has been even more refined over the past few weeks. It's interesting because it's a real time thing, right?
Yeah.
Like it's my mind changes every couple of weeks on how this is going to get honed. I'm like, oh, I have to go back and rename these files now.
Oh no.
But that's okay. Like, I mean, that's the fun of it, you know?
Yeah.
It's a hobby work.
Right.
You know,
Exactly.
It's not like I'm doing a 9 to 5. It's more like, 6 to 1.
Yeah. So I think listeners who are intrigued by this should also check out that Dead Media Day in Ann Arbor, and whenever they're doing that in 2026, would be cool to get connected with.
And I'll be doing updates on my TikTok. I know you're not supposed to do this, but my TikTok has both Dead Media stuff as well as mural stuff on it. So under Go Bonus Saves on TikTok. If you want to be old fashioned and email, KZOO Video Vault is no spaces or dots or dashes. KZVideoVault@gmail.com is a good way to reach out.
You've got to get a website for that, because that is a great name.
I know.
And so
I need
somebody's
to buy
going to
that.
.com
Yeah,
it,
don't buy that.
Yeah, don't buy it.
Please don't buy
Somebody
it.
didn't hear that.
And if you have any VHS tapes just sitting around,
You know
Patrick.
what? Get a hold of me. I am not averse. I think right now, like if it's within an hour and a half or so, I'll drive.
Yeah.
It's a fun little day trip.
I like that you like to talk to people a little bit too when you pick it up.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think those are some of the most valuable moments. Is that 5 or 10 minutes when you can get a little bit of like personal information, about who this person was. Sometimes you don't get anything, but you also get interesting stories that kind of relate to it, or maybe they don't at all, but they become part of the story.
Love it. Tina, you always have questions you want to ask our guests.
I do.
Yeah, you do. I know it.
I'm curious because I think this feels a little bit like anthropology and art, or it's almost, I don't want to say folk art, but something the nostalgic part makes it feel very folk art. And so do you think about that? Is that part of what you're doing? Or?
Well, I'm an artist through and through. I've always been a creator. So I feel like that bleeds into other projects, and being an artist who's also really invested in history, whatever history I'm looking into, 100% agree with that. I love personal history, whether it be in making it into, a piece of public art or researching people's video habits. I think that's maybe just what makes me tick is that. I feel like in my next life, I should be a librarian.
And I loved hearing you say how we're all at the core kind of similar, and showing those similarities versus all the differences that we might feel. Is there more that you can share about that?
I mean, humans are humans, right? Like we're lovely creatures and we're evil beasts, and we're all of these things wrapped into this squishy package. And I feel like we, when we tape ourselves, we've been driven to it for documenting ourselves, whether it be on paper, whether it be a chisel in a stone. Painting in a handprint in a cave. I mean, these are all traces of us. And so I really think that part of our core, whatever it is driven to recognizing our individual selves, which make up a larger community of people, and our way that we make art, and how we view life and the universe as a whole. And so not to get like super deep with it or anything, but I mean, I just think this is part of who we are, and a byproduct of that. If maybe another alien race does something different. Maybe they don't think about recording the past at all, but for some reason we're really interested in our now and our past, and I embrace that. I was watching a PBS documentary from 1987, and it was like 20 years in the past, and it was on the Beatles, but it was also on like the Vietnam. Basically, there was this, the protest movement that grew into the, anti-war movement, and all these musicians, and there was these like nobody or somebody something days, and they were talking about how they protested the machine of capitalism and of essentially the war machine, and they're like, we combat that with being joyous. You see these pictures of flowers being put in guns, and I'm just sitting there watching this, and I'm like, my God, this is now. Like, they're, not to be like we're in the Matrix, but like we're just doing it again. Like we are discovering a sense of how joy is our own weapon against these essentially what I view as evil forces that are just looking to only help a few people, the rich and the powerful. And how do the masses combat that? But with solidarity, with joy, with finding a love of life and connecting with others and helping others in those moments.
I think we're more similar than we are different. And it's interesting. I mean, this whole thing, we've talked about John Homer, but just people are interesting, even if they're just recording bridges and trees.
Yeah. I totally agree. I have more of John Homer to work through.
He's our favorite character in
He's
life.
a good one.
Yeah. Right?
So
I feel like there's so much like ASMR.
Yeah. All right. You haven't even done the.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Let's get that windy.
Oh.
Do it with that. There's probably more with that.
I don't want to break your.
Oh, you won't. It won't. Sometimes it depends on which way we'll move more.
Oh, you do it. I can't
It's
figure
probably.
it out.
You hear that? Yeah.
I love that you do the work and tell me the stories. I mean, because it takes a lot of time, so sharing the stories, super cool. I'm super glad you came and did that today.
Well, I'm glad that I was able to talk about it. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. All right. That's our show.
Hey.